And Michelle Bachmann, and thank you again for coming back for part 2 of this program. It's things like Mike Pence and the position of the Trump administration on the Iranian deal, clearly one of the worst debacles in foreign policy in the history of foreign policy, that has caused people like Jay-Z, Nancy Pelosi, and the entire progressive left to be unhinged. And yet Mike Pence making so much sense, Donald Trump making so much sense, the Iranian deal is the worst in history.
It is the worst in history, and it's interesting. Barack Obama thought his greatest achievements on a foreign policy level was the Iran deal, and domestically on passing Obamacare. These were the 2 biggest disasters that America has seen in the last 8 years, and were a big reason why our economy was in a free fall and stalling, and why on a foreign policy level all of our allies were aghast and their enemies were cheering, because Barack Obama gave $150 billion in real time to the world's leading sponsor of terrorism across the world. He personally enriched the Ayatollahs with billions of dollars that they could stash in Swiss bank accounts and cash. And then also he opened up the sanctions so that Iran would effectively bring in $1 trillion into their economy over the next decade. It was an absolute disaster, all while they are cooperating in partnership with North Korea, whom I've said in the past is the Walmart of missile development. These 2 together with missile development and the know-how for making a nuclear weapon have become 2 of the biggest terror boys on the block, and they're causing trouble for everyone. So what I loved about what Vice President Mike Pence said is that the United States will no longer certify the Iran deal. That is a major announcement, because the president every so many days has to recertify that Iran is in compliance with the deal. Iran has never been in compliance with the deal. So it's great that what has happened in the Trump administration, they continue to expose truth. And that's what's driving the media crazy, because the media is playing all of us. They are manipulating all of us with lies. And the Trump administration is telling the truth, which is this was a horrible deal from the get-go. It benefited the United States not at all. It hurt our allies terribly, most in particular Israel. So the fact that the United States will no longer certify this horrible deal is a big deal. And also, President Trump was judicious. He said that we will withdraw from the deal. He didn't just on the first day get out without explaining the basis. He's demonstrated to the world that Iran has finked on this deal. In other words, they haven't told the truth. They've been non-compliant. He gave them time. And now he's saying, enough of this garbage. We're not going to go along with this lie anymore. We're getting out of it. That's a good thing, because remember, the best thing that the world thought they were going to get out of this deal anyway is that Iran was going to wait 10 years to have a nuclear weapon. Well, what's 10 years in the blip of time? It's like snap your fingers and bam, the leading state sponsor of terrorism has a bomb. The best thing that you could do is ensure that they never have a nuclear bomb. Sometimes you might have to do military means to make sure that that doesn't happen. So what Donald Trump has said to the world now through Vice President Pence is that we are not going to allow Iran to have a nuclear weapon, and we are not going to go along with the fiction that they're complying when they aren't. We're going to expose the light of truth, and boy, is that refreshing.
You opened the door for me to kind of go down this little hallway here, and that is, you referenced North Korea. Of course, there's kind of an unholy union between North Korea and Iran. There's an unholy union between a lot of evil.
It's an evil union.
Yeah, it's an evil union. And you served on the House Intelligence Committee when you were in U.S. Congress. You can't reveal secrets, obviously, but you still have an opinion. You do a lot of interviews. And a lot of people say, well, there's 2 opinions out there. Kim Jong-un is stable. He wants to live. He's just making kind of boisterous threats. He'll never follow through on them. Others say, no, he's kind of unhinged. He very easily could launch a nuclear missile at not just Hawaii, but probably any point in the United States here fairly soon. Hawaii just went through a terrible scare a few weeks ago where some administrator in Hawaii failed to push the right button, and they were warned that a missile was on the way. Well, that could happen any day. Give me your take on Kim Jong-un and on our national security, in your opinion.
I think the thing that we need to understand with all seriousness is that there are a lot of evil people in the world. The difference is who has the political will to advance evil plans. When it comes to North Korea and when it comes to Iran, you have two leaders in the Ayatollah Khamenei and also in Kim Jong-un, two leaders who are willing to cooperate with their evil plans and to actually carry them out. That's the difference. We have in this world almost 10 countries with nuclear weapons. Mm-hmm. The point is they exercise enough restraint, they have enough presence of mind that they aren't going to actually use them. They have them as a, quote, deterrence. Now we see in Iran and North Korea individuals who are willing to use nuclear weapons on offense actively to go and advance their evil plans. And that's the difference, the political will to actually use these nuclear weapons on offense rather than on defense.
So how stable do you feel Kim Jong-un is?
I think in his brain, he's making rational moves. To us, they are irrational. Yeah. But to him and to the Ayatollah and Iran, they see that this makes them big man on campus,
that's right,
big man on the block. And so they want more power so that they can force their will on others.
You're listening to Understanding the Times Radio. I'm Jan Markell. This is part 2 in a 2-part series on, well, we've covered a lot of issues in the last week, and we will this hour as well. Current events, we hit some eschatology here as well. We talked a little bit about Davos last weekend, the globalist agenda. We talked a little bit about DACA last weekend, and a lot of other issues that we're trying to hit in a 2-week series with Michelle Bachman, who's in studio with me. If you'd like to get a couple of CDs, encourage you to do so. You call my office, and you can access the programming anytime at olivetreeviews.org. Go to radio, or you can go to oneplace.com and listen as well. Get on their mobile app and have the program delivered to you every Saturday.
If I could just add one thing, Jan, on what we said.
Yep.
If there is anything that history has proven, it is that when a madman speaks, listen.
Absolutely.
Because they aren't playing with us. They aren't being insincere. I think that Kim Jong-un and the Ayatollah are as serious as a heart attack. And we have got to listen to what they're saying, because that will have profound consequences on the safety of the American people.
To keep up with what Michelle is doing, here's the web address, skylineun.com, skylineun.com. We're going to talk about that in just a few minutes here. And Michelle, give me your perspective first on upcoming 2018 elections, then 2020. Let me just jump to 2020 just for a second, then we'll come back to 2018. But we've had even some kind of almost crazy talk about 2020 and Oprah Winfrey. Well, now that's not going to happen. But the mindset behind people who are suggesting so-and-so is going to run in 18 and 2020, there seems to be an element of desperation almost, particularly on the left. Your thoughts on the forthcoming fall elections in 2018? You will not be running for the seat of Al Franken. We covered that last week. Your thoughts on the Republican perhaps massive win or massive loss in 2018?
Well, we've been told over and over and over again that Donald Trump is going to cause a massive political bloodbath at the polls, that Republicans are going to lose the majority in the U.S. House and the U.S. Senate, and we're just going to see a complete loss of elections by the Republican Party. I actually think, and it's due because of Donald Trump. That's what conventional wisdom is. I actually think it's the opposite. I think when you look at what Donald Trump has done to advance the interests of his base on religious liberty, on the pro-life area, dealing with Israel on foreign policy, to get us out of the Iran deal, to get us out of the climate change treaty, to get us out of the bad NAFTA, to get us out of the TPP. I mean, this is off the charts in how he has delivered. I actually think the base is going to show up for Donald Trump, and we are going to see not losses. I think we actually might see gains for Republicans in 2018. The problem is Republicans are their own worst enemy. Republicans in the House and in the Senate, if they would advance what they ran on in their campaigns, they would do fantastic. But the fact that they've been fighting the president, I think that hurts them. So I think 2018 won't be a bad year for Republicans. All they have to do is not listen to the media and not be intimidated, and then fully embrace what it is that Donald Trump has done, and I think they'll win.
Your thoughts on 2020? The left, again, they're kind of in a panic.
Right. And the thing is, 2 months in politics is an eternity, so it's tough to prognosticate out that far. It really depends on what it is that Donald Trump wants to do. He'll be about 74 years of age at that point. We've never had a president at that age run for office. Now, Donald Trump is very different. He's just gone through all of his paces with his doctor, and his doctor gave him flying marks on every category. So Donald Trump may decide to run again at age 74, and if he has the vigor to do it, I think very likely he could be reelected, even despite 95% of all articles being against him, massive numbers of billionaires that can't wait to spend money to defeat him. I just think he's in a remarkable situation. I think about really all the farther you can go is 2018, because we're in 2018, and I think the Republicans, if they don't do anything stupid, probably will be in a pretty good position, and it'll be because of what Donald Trump has done. But 2020 is a little farther to go out and make a prediction.
Okay.